I killed her. I killed the both of them. Her and my brother. They were whoring behind my back. Whoring in my own house. She and him had to die. I got a legal right to that.
The last roundup, last roundup
Horror Show.
I do have Skittles with lime green Skittles in it.
Oh yeah, you've been talking about those lime greens.
Yeah.
Oh,
You don't like 'em?
Jared, you're gonna be. Come on, you can't be
Mouth
chewing on the mic.
sounds. Mouth sounds.
Holy smokes.
Welcome to the Last Roundup Horror Show. I'm Frank. This is Jason. That's Jared. And
Hey, guys.
We're talking movies.
I got
Once
lime
again.
green Skittles.
Yeah. What's your stance on that again? You don't like them. You're against them.
No, green apple is shit.
Oh, how'd you get the old formula?
Somebody sent them to me.
That's nice. A fan,
It is.
a friend.
What?
You can still get it, the original.
Where'd you
off
get 'em at?
Amazon. Huh? In the mail.
You ordered them?
I didn't. Someone did. And
Who ordered them?
Who was this?
Who ordered them?
The person I talked to.
Say the name.
What's going on, Jared? What are you being
You got wait.
I think he's maybe getting paid a little bit of money from Skittles. I don't know.
Anyways.
Any hoozle.
Oh fuck!
People don't say any hoozle.
No, not enough. Tourist Trap from 1979. A group of young friends stranded at a secluded roadside museum are stalked by a masked assailant who uses his telekinetic powers to control the attraction's mannequins.
This one was something.
Directed by David Schmoller, who also directed Puppet Master. Written by David Schmoller and J. Larry Carroll, who wrote a bunch of good cartoons, Ghostbusters, He-Man, Thundercats, and was also the original editor of Texas Chainsaw Massacre from the 70s. I love to see the name Charles Band. You all right over there?
He was just rattling it off.
Yeah. What do you have any other
The lowdown.
details on
Yeah. Tagline is every year young girls disappear. On Blu-ray by Full Moon and released in 2014. This movie's only $12 on Amazon, and I think that's a heck of a deal.
This is I love to like I love seeing
About it.
Charles anything that says Charles Band on it. You can guarantee it's quality.
No, you don't want to go that far.
No, but I do enjoy anytime. I know I'm in for an adventure whenever I see his name pop up.
This is the best thing Charles Band has been a part of,
I know that
in my opinion.
I like the last name Slauson,
Yeah,
and I know he really doesn't like the highway.
no. I think he has
No,
Jedi
bad for
Jedi
business.
powers, Jared. Do you your knowledge of the Force? Does he have Jedi powers? Is that what this is?
It's what is
Similar.
It? What's it called? Telekinesis.
Telekinesis.
It's telekinesis.
It was a homage. Telekinesis.
Another Carrie homage.
Oh god. Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. The soundtrack to this. God.
Great.
Really?
Great
Oh,
music.
man.
Got it wrote down.
Too
Great
many-
music.
Did a good job.
Good as Martin Freeman.
He did a good job.
That's a deep cut. Just too many high-pitched strings for my taste, I guess.
Oh, I liked it. I liked it.
I love the whole creepy mannequin and the killer's whole gimmick.
So do you guys now know why I was on? Oh,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Chuck Connors is fucking great in this. You'll know Chuck Connors from what did I see he was in? Oh, he's in Old Yeller. If you ever seen that classic. In like a ton of different TVs, been in fucking everything. It's a PG film, which it didn't feel like a PG film.
No, let me tell you what. Because those girls' nipples are out the entire movie. Like, I knew Frank was waiting to see those things.
Don't they swim naked? And he's like, "There's a water moccasins."
I just want to read what I have wrote down here. This has enough beautiful women with their nipples. Look.
Look, it says it right there. You want me to read it for you? This has enough beautiful women with their nipples popping out to be at least PG-13. Sorry, Frank.
I knew Frank was waiting to see those things.
Yeah, well, it's always a bright part of a movie. I don't want to be like a sexist dude or anything, but it's always enjoyable.
Bright and shining nipples.
Linnea Quigley was one of the mannequins?
Is that right?
That's right.
Huh. Find out something new every day, Jared.
Every day.
I really have no idea what is happening in this movie, but I did find it enjoyable. I feel like I'm now a Chuck Connors fan, so I'll probably check out what he's done in the past. And there's a lot going on in this movie, but the only thing I could have done without was the telekinesis or telekinesis, however you pronounce it in your region. Gave this a 5. 5 out of 10.
I don't know any regions.
No one, nope.
So,
Jared, go for it. Put your Skittles down.
Oh man, they're so good.
Who bought
fiddle
them?
in with your Skittles.
I'm gonna find.
Who was it?
I'm gonna find out.
If you know who gave Jared Skittles,
I'm gonna find out.
Please comment below.
I got a lime green dealer.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't enamored with this movie. The telekinesis is, it felt thrown in just for a couple scenes, like the beginning scene, so you could have stuff rocking. It made no sense being in there. It doesn't hurt it. Everything is just kind of average for me.
Couldn't tell what was real and what was fake, Jared.
I don't have the good idea. Story's all right. Acting is what you would expect from a low-budget horror movie from the era. Effects are what you would expect from a low-budget horror movie from that era. There's about as much blood as you would expect from a PG movie from that era. It's just, I don't know, it's average. I'm with Frank. I give it a 5. I don't really have anything to hammer on it
Guys
for.
are surprising me.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to hammer on it for other than the telekinesis felt really forced.
Oh, I love this movie.
But
when he's
I
making
also I don't have anything good to say about it.
When he's making the mask, when he pours the mask mold over the girl's face and kills her, that's generally the scene that I'm thinking of whenever I'm like PG, because that's a pretty brutal way to die, I guess. It's not bloody necessarily, but it's terrible for sure. Anyways, what did you think, Jason?
Something I read, and this probably doesn't have any truth to it, but it's something you can think about. This was intended for John Carpenter to direct, but they couldn't come to an agreement on the money.
Huh. I wonder if it'd been better.
I'm sure it would have.
The other thing I'll say about it is Slosson's being Davy. That was like the minute you find out there's a Davy, and you're like, that's him.
I like the way he talks. No, the only complaint I really have about this movie is the ending. I thought the ending was it just stopped with her driving down the road. With that big smile on her face. Like, I don't know if
she became him or whatever.
Some part of that.
She inherited.
Yeah, something just happened to her.
At the end, when the mannequins, she starts confusing the mannequins for real people because they're switching out.
Well, was he making mannequins out of the people? I just still don't know.
Yeah, no. Like, he's making mannequins, but his telekinesis can breathe things to life. And then she's kind of seeing these mannequins made of her friends, and they're moving, but then, like, the one dude's limb fell off. Then he's dancing with the other mannequin. It turns into the real girl. If you're going to go that extreme with it, there's a way better movie of all of that to do instead of just saving it for like the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, they could have just did the brother killing people without all the magic.
I thought the acting was okay. I thought the music was great. I think it was shot well. Again, I think it's one of the best things Charles Band has his name on. And I like the storyline.
It's a good idea.
I guess because you just have to take the telekinesis for what it is. But he was using that for like a side.
Yeah, it doesn't.
A sideshow on the road. A highway came in, took away his business. He can't make any more mannequins. You get these group of people that come in. I think the story's okay. I like it. It doesn't really have to make sense to me. It's a Charles Band movie. So I gave it an 8. I liked it. I own this movie on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
wow.
Anytime you're watching a movie from Charles Band or Full Moon, all you have to do is remember this is the company that brought us Evil Bong, Evil Bong 2, Evil Bong 666, or whatever the hell they are. I mean, it's Full Moon. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, 8. That surprises me.
Yep.
That throws me.
Got it right here. Look at that.
Look at that.
It's an 8.
8.
Take a look, it's in our book, a reading rainbow.
Last time on the Reading Rainbow of Death.
We are talking to Jonathan Raab.
I guess it all really starts with discovering Mississippi Bones. I remember reaching out to your Facebook page via direct message and said, "Hey, I'd love to, pay for the rights to, throw you some bills or something to use in the book trailer." And you ended up reading my novel, The Hillbilly Moonshine Massacre, and The Western Swamp Gods of Little Dixie. I remember sort of idly, I probably had a few drinks in me on Facebook, like, "Hey, man, if you ever want to do a Sheriff Kodo song, you have my blessing." And you had so much fun writing that song that you decided, hey, I don't want to do just one song. I want to do a whole concept album based on Sheriff Kodo and that character.
I know on my end, I was super excited about it, but when we finished, I realized the first time I listened to it, I was like, wow, this is different. This is not like a normal album. And that was one thing, I thought we did a great job on it. But then the nerves hit me a little bit after that when we got it all done. But the one that made me feel the best was someone was like, "No, it sounds like Mississippi Bones," and I got back with him and was like, "Well, yeah, but I mean all the radio sketches. I was afraid that was going to throw people off." And he's like, "No, that sounds like Mississippi Bones. The humor is there, the subjects are there." And then one other person said, "I'm surprised." They're like, the only thing that's surprising about this album is that we didn't see it coming, because if you look back, it just feels like the next step.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of how well all the sketches turned out, and I think a lot of that has to do with your performance as Sheriff Kodo, which I think is great. And we kind of went back and forth, and we even tried to, I think I remember at one time you reached out to Ken Forey, trying to get his agent, which would have been perfect. And then us kind of like, well, hey, I think Jared can do it. And, you had sent me over a few voice samples, and I was kind of giving you pointers on how he should sound. And ultimately, I feel like you really came up with a great interpretation of the character. And I just love how the album begins with Open Air, and then how that easily transitions into A Paranoiac's Farewell, and then moves on from there. And getting to appear on the album as myself, playing a character of myself with Tom Breen on Occult the Programmers, and moving in from there. I just feel like it starts really strong, and it just really follows through. And by the time it ends, it's creating these threads toward the next Sheriff Kodo book, which is a lot of fun. And in fact, I've already started getting the stories in from the contributing writers, and I've started writing the S1E2, the first story, the first episode of that book. And then it picks up that night after this recording, which is great. I got to say, though, probably some of my favorite stuff on here, though, is Devilry in the Blues and Little Dixie. You've got someone playing my Preacher Jim character and Chloe from Lester Swamp God's Little Dixie, and it's just a really powerful song. And people keep saying like, "Hey, Sheriff Kodo should be a Netflix show." Like, "Hey, Netflix, I come cheap." But if that ever would. I could see that being a season 2 of the show, and like I would love for that song. I'm just picturing that song as being tied to that. I love the Order of the Night Moose song, which connects to a short story I wrote, and Ancient Astronauts and Alien Allegories is a favorite. And I gotta say, the song you collaborated with Matthew M. Bartlett, WXXT.
Yeah,
that's depending on my mood, that's my top song or top 3 songs of the album. Just because it's so creepy and sort of slow and melodic, and it's got this like very measured, confident pace to it, but it also feels very metal at the same time. So I'm a big fan of pretty much the whole album. But yeah, there's a few of my favorites that I've just mentioned. I do find myself listening to frequently. Although I will admit, and I've seen some comments in reviews like, "Hey, the sketches are great, but you don't need to listen to them every time if you want to be in the backyard doing work." Actually, I listen to this album on my way to work, and I actually usually skip the sketches because I've listened to them a few times, but it is fun to go back and revisit it from time to time.
Yeah, and one of the things I think from that, why it turned out that way, because that's one of the things I was worried about. It's like, how's this going to play as a full album listenability wise? We made sure to write it so you can pull the songs out, but not something to throw on when you're working in your backyard unless you pull the sketches out. Well, I think one of the big things about that is the earlier reviews we were getting from it, people were having trouble saying what their favorite song was. It's like, oh, I'm going to have to go back and listen to it again to pick out a song, because kind of between the lyrics and the sketches, we tied everything together so good. Like they got wrapped in the story. So it had the radio drama aspect. So I know some people have said that about it, but I've really took it as a compliment because they've seemed to enjoy the overall story so much. It was hard to just focus in on one song, be like, no, that was easily the best song, because they'd have to go back and be like, I gotta go back and listen, because I remember the overall, the kind of the radio and the music together. I remember the Nibiru was awesome. I don't remember the song, but the overall, or the space vampires at the end, that was awesome. But the song was, so I think part of that came from just we did a really good job of presenting whatever it is that we had made on this, whatever you want to call it. It really is half radio show, half rock opera, maybe, I don't know. But
yeah. And I still, when I do go back and listen to the sketches, I find myself chuckling at things like, Jeff joins a cult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that stuff makes me laugh every time. So which is a lot of fun. And what's cool for me is that there's a lot of like little references in here to Sheriff Kodo originated as a character in these backyard monster movies I used to make like 15 years ago.
Yep.
So like, well, not quite that long ago, but and then sharing this with the friends and family who were a part of that, so long ago. There's like little references and in jokes in there, but at the same time, I feel like it's accessible and surface level enough in terms of its understandability that hopefully people who've never even encountered the character will get it and develop an affection for it and the character. And definitely sales have increased a little bit since the album's come out, because I've seen plenty of people posting like, hey, I want to check out these books because I like this character so much.
Yeah, and I hope it does work for you. That was really my overall agenda. I read these books and just didn't have anyone to talk to them about. Clearly, if you listen to our band, you know that I am a fan of sci-fi and horror and fiction, and I am a fan of talking about them. So my real behind-the-scenes agenda was, I'm going to write this book and hopefully people who like our music will, or I'm going to write this album, people who like our music will listen to it, and then they'll go read the book so I can talk to somebody about these books. So it was a little selfish, but it seems to be working. So
yeah, and vice versa. I think people who sort of enjoy the type of books that I write, sort of the gonzo horror fiction. I'm not afraid to have fun. I like scary stuff, but I mostly want people to have a good time reading these madcap, zany adventures. A drug using, county sheriff fighting the New World Order, UFOs and demons. I think if you're into that sort of thing, you're also going to like the music of Mississippi Bones. Not just this album, but pretty much your whole catalog.
Yeah, they definitely married together really well on this one. So looks like we're coming into about 22, 23 minutes. I know Frankie likes me to keep it 15. This is going to be a double episode. Somewhere about 10 minutes ago, you started listening on our second episode. I don't know where, but things coming up for you, announcements, new works, things going on. Go ahead and let everybody know what to look forward to.
Yeah, so check out Radio Free Conspiracy Theory from Mississippi Bones, co-written by myself and also featuring, writing from Matthew M. Bartlett and Sean M. Thompson, and performances by, Orford Parish Books editor Tom Breen and my old childhood friend Colin Scharf. We got him on a track, which was a lot of fun. Both of who,
not to cut you off, but both of who are great. Those two sketches, I think, are two of my favorite. Colin sounds like Jeff Goldblum, and it was fantastic. I don't think I ever messaged him, so you'll have to tell him I loved his part. So
I'll let him know. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but go on.
And it's funny, the character he plays, which also appears in the novels. He's also continuing with that character in a feature film that he's putting together about that Minnesotan cryptid that he mentions in that sketch. So be looking for that movie, The Marmol Chronicles, coming out probably next year or so. But as far as, checking out my work, check out the Hillbilly Moonshine Massacre and the Lesser Swamp Gods of Little Dixie. You can read them in any order. I price them at 99 cents for Kindle. The paperbacks are pretty much dirt cheap, likewise through the Muzzleland Press Store Envy page. So even if you hate them, hey, you're only out a few bucks. Not that bad. Also, I am an editor, so the most recent anthology from Muzzleland Press is Terror in 16 Bits. It's a video game-inspired horror, so if you like Castlevania, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, that's definitely going to be an anthology for you. And hopefully here in the next couple months, I'm hoping by the end of summer, but it might sort of bleed into the beginning of fall. I've got a new novel coming out through Turn to Ash Publications. It's called Camp Ghoul Mountain Part 6, the official novelization. The elevator pitch for that is back in the day, in the 80s, they used to make novelizations of movies and horror movies. So, you might have been a young kid who's 12 who can't go see the new Friday the 13th movie, but you can read the novelization. So I wrote a novelization of a slasher movie that doesn't actually exist. So that slasher movie is, Camp Ghoul Mountain Part 6, which was supposed to be a by-the-numbers, run-of-the-mill slasher movie, but the director they hired fancied himself a counterculturalist auteur. So he slips a lot of weird subversive messages into the film. So it's one half novelization of this movie, and then the other half is the history behind the making of the film, complete with footnotes and sort of biographical sketches of the producer and the director and how they butted heads and how the film became a cult classic sensation and how the director ended up founding a magic mushroom cult in the mid-90s and what happens to him and how the film is supposedly, according to conspiracy theorists, a prophecy for a harbinger of America's doom as payment for all of her many sins. So if that convoluted mess of an elevator pitch appeals to you in any way, check out Camp Ghoul Mountain Part 6. Should be out in a few months.
I am incredibly excited for that one, by the way. There's so many over the top and things and stuff that I love all just put together. I can't wait to see you pull all that together. All right, well, and there's where you can, or there's what to expect from John Raab coming up. Where can they find you at, I guess?
Check out muzzlelandpress.com. It's been pretty quiet as a blog, but I do post updates whenever we post a new episode from Spooklights, our semi-monthly podcast-ish, where you can find frequent guests such as Jared Collins. Basically, we discuss independent horror literature and interview authors or talk about horror movies and that sort of thing. Kind of got a bit of a irregular schedule, but we usually get out at least one or two episodes a month. And they're a lot of fun. everything from interviews with noted authors to Let's Plays of the Delta Green horror role-playing game, which we've got a few more of those coming up as well. So check out Spooklights as well.
All right. Well, thanks, John. This is, like I said, going to be the last episode of Reading Rainbow of Death for a while. Some books are going to be coming out, and I'm going to be reading, and maybe sometime in the fall I'm going to pick it back up. Maybe in the winter, who knows. But that's kind of all I'm doing for a little while, so I appreciate everyone who has been listening, and I know John plugged his Spooklights podcast. If you are looking to get into weird and indie horror fiction, that is where most of the names that I picked out come from, and it makes up a lot of my reading list. So, and as he said, Muzzleland Press at their .com, go check him out. A lot of the authors in his anthologies are fantastic as well. He has a great eye for horror and kind of who I have trusted to navigate me through these weird waters. So go check it out. And John, thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. So do I get a prize if I stay as your most appeared guest on this show? Do I got to keep coming back, or
you get a free copy of Radio Free Conspiracy Theory?
Oh, great. Awesome.
The vinyl will be coming out later this year too, so you can have a free copy of that as well, that I already promised you.
Yeah, I'll probably hang that on my wall. That's some good looking cover art by Jared Collins. I kind of dig it. So
all right, well, thanks a lot, John.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep.
All right, well, on to our next feature film, Terrifier, from 2017. Summary: a maniacal clown named Art terrorizes 3 young women on Halloween night.
That's not a summary.
And everyone else who stands in the way.
That's not a summary.
It's not?
That is a full, intricate depiction of the story that takes place.
Yeah, there's not a lot of story here, but I mean, how many times do murderers have stories?
Doesn't work against it.
No.
Just making a point.
Written and directed by Damien Leon, who previously had... This was a
Leon?
Leon?
Damien Leon, I believe.
This was actually his featured character from All Hallows Eve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he did a movie I'm going to look up, Frankenstein versus the Mummy. That looks interesting, too. I want to get Jared's opinion on this first, because he said previously that scary clowns are like skulls with mean faces, and I just wanted to know what you thought about this guy. Oh, okay, he's got Skittles. All right, well, I thought this clown is fucking great. I mean, the whole. I hope they do a lot of these movies. Mm-hmm. I hope this continues on, because this dude is way fucking cooler than Pennywise.
Do you have the guy's name?
No, I don't. Unfortunately,
does such a great job. This is such a great character, Art the Clown. He's just a complete nut, a creep. Like he does such a great job with this character.
Blatantly insane. The movie starts out with a great kill scene that's kind of confusing, because it's a TV host getting murdered in her dressing room by a deformed guest who is allegedly a victim of Art's. And that kind of wraps up back in the end. It's the character that makes it through the film, actually. There's some really nasty gore in this movie, particularly the hacksaw scene where, I mean, he just splits this woman in two. It's vulgar. It's really fucked up, man. He's a really ruthless murderer. It really starts getting crazy when he's wearing the woman's like scalp and her cut off breasts. It really starts ramping up, and then the last 20 minutes of the movie is just crazy. Yeah, it makes this dude makes Pennywise look like a fucking Looney Tune. It's almost too violent for me, but I fucking loved it. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
John,
okay. Yeah, what do you think? Scary Clown.
Yeah, it works great in this movie. Normally not big on him, but I don't know I don't know if maybe it's because he's a mime and in black and white.
Just a great personality. He's a great guy,
but but I don't. And maybe he is clearly a scary clown. I'll admit they made him look scary, but he's not exaggerated. I mean, like his teeth are really about the only thing. I mean, he's pretty just standard, other than right here. They give him a long pointy nose, but like he doesn't have big fangs or the big over-the-top evil eyes, or it's just a dude with weird teeth and clown makeup. So I guess if you're going to do a scary clown, that's how I think it looks good. And like Jason was saying, he's a nut. He's just a psycho doing psycho things. The movie has shock. Like I've never seen a movie with you can't have a movie with less storyline. There is no storyline. There is no story to tell. They don't even, like, they're talking about him on the radio. They don't even give you, like, escaped lunatic from the asylum or escape, like, let you know that they give you...
I'll have to go back. I want to go back and watch All Hallows Eve. I've only watched it once, and it was a few years ago. I don't know, and I can't imagine they do, because that's a horror anthology, so it's going to be short, just a short segment. But I want to go back and see if there's any kind of story that, like, maybe you're just automatically supposed to know about him. They
don't tell you anything about him, where he came from, why he's doing it. None of the main characters that he is hunting and chasing, they give you no backstory on any of them. There's no story.
And it doesn't matter.
And that's... I mean, it was crazy how little story there is, but it didn't hurt the movie at all. I think for as little story as there is, it was a little long. You could have cut some of the chase scenes out. That's really the only negative I got against it. The blood in it is gruesome. The acting, I guess, isn't great, apart from Art, who is fantastic. But... you don't care. I mean, this is a movie made that knows exactly why it was made and exactly who it was made for. It is just a bloody movie of a guy running around killing people. Bloodily.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 7.
Yeah. So, this isn't paying homage to the 80s, but this has a very 80s slasher feel to it. Like, it's there.
Take the story out of a slasher movie, and it's the formula that's left over.
Yeah. Great soundtrack. I love it. They did a phenomenal job with the soundtrack. It's fun. It's freaking crazy. I love the character. I think I said earlier, other than Sam from Trick or Treat, like, this is one of my favorite horror characters that's come out recently. It looks good. It feels good. There's practical effects. There's lots of gore. Like Frank said, it may have been even a bit much for him. It was done on a low budget and done really well.
Yeah, it's for the other thing like this, these type of splatter movies that all that's going after is the kill. It looks great.
Yeah.
I don't know I've ever seen one done that's shot that well.
Yeah.
For just...
It looks good. It feels good. Sounds great. I think... It was, for a low-budget movie, you can't ask for much more. I gave it an 8.
Yeah, it was strong. Like I said, I probably gave it an 8 if they'd have trimmed 15 minutes off of it.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, it got a little long.
Hour 22 minutes.
It was almost real time.
I think they could have barely went over an hour.
Suppose.
Like I said earlier, it feels to me like an original and a sequel slammed together, because he's chasing these two women, kills some people, catches the women. They've pretty much been the only characters really in the story. About halfway through the story, a little over, he kills both of them. All the main characters are dead. Then the sister comes into the movie looking for one of the ones he killed, and it recycles the slasher formula back through a second time as he chases her. So it was almost like 2 40-minute movies, original and a sequel, that pick up right after. It felt like that to me, but just with his little story, you could have trimmed the chase scenes, some of the extra, just cut it down, because by the second time cycling through, it's like, okay, yeah, just get it on. I didn't get that at all. I got it, but not so bad that I shut. I was like, oh god, I gave it a 7. I would have gave it an 8 if it wasn't like that. So. Doesn't ruin it by far. If you're watching this movie, you're watching it for one
What'd
thing.
you give it, Frank?
Oh, I give it an 8.
Oh,
Could have
I
been right
ruined
there.
it. Could have been certified.
Yeah, all right.
I ruined it.
Let's move on to our third feature film, Dagon from 2001.
Might as well.
Summary for this film: a boating accident runs a young man and woman ashore in a decrepit Spanish fishing town, which they discover is in the grips of an ancient sea god and its monstrous half-human offspring. Directed by Stuart Gordon, who you'll know from Reanimator, Castle Freak, From Beyond, etc.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I was waiting for it.
Written by H.P. Lovecraft and Dennis Paoli. I love this movie. The font that they use at the opening credits will lead you to believe that perhaps this is like an episode of Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, or something. But it's a really good movie. It's Brian Usna, Stuart Gordon. Question: the character Paul at the beginning of the movie is checking his stock. They're on a boat.
Sure.
It's 2001 when this movie comes out.
Yeah, I could have swore this movie came out in the 90s.
It seems like it.
Really, really.
That once I saw that, I could not believe it. I would have bet a lot of money that this was a 90s
I'm just like,
movie.
how the fuck is this dude checking his stock numbers in 2001 on a boat? You know, here I go getting into technology. And then I'm like, how much does this fucking laptop she throws in the ocean cost in 2001?
They got plenty of money.
A laptop in 2001 will cost you $1,500.
If you got one on a boat and are checking your stocks,
You got money.
I imagine the laptop's
You
not
got the
worst
best
thing.
internet.
And this is
world.
coming out on Blu-ray by Vestron, July 24th.
Oh,
So, Vestrons, they're kind of pricey. They're around $30 range. I wanted to upgrade from the VHS, so I bought the DVD. I ain't gonna pay that much money for it, but that's just me.
I might.
Did you guys notice that Paul was wearing a Miskatonic University sweater? Did you?
Yeah,
Are you familiar with that Miskatonic University?
I am.
Yeah.
He's our local H.P. Lovecraft expert,
Evidently,
our in-house expert.
Evidently, it was mentioned in the Dunwich Horror, The Shadow Out of Time.
Miskatonic University is the school
Yeah.
that revolves around all of Lovecraft's stuff. It's also normally where they end up housing the Necronomicon in most of his stuff.
Some of the CGI in this
Early 2000s.
real bad.
It's very bad.
The tentacle mouth
Very bad.
lady was especially. It looked like a Snapchat filter.
I don't know how it was done in 2001. I mean, it don't even look like that. That looks like early 90s CG. Like,
Yeah,
it's bad.
It's not.
But Jurassic Park came out in
I
what
know.
year?
Yeah, they're not dealing with. I mean, that was.
Yeah, that's true. They don't have
That
the
was
money.
all the budget back then.
It
Yeah.
has some good practical effects.
Yeah.
I think the best part about this movie for me is the townspeople in general, like all the weird shit. There's a lot of weird shit. The environment, the whole world is great. It would be a terrifying for me, it'd be terrifying to be in a land where you can't speak the language, but also this is a bad situation. This will always be one of my favorite like science fiction horror movies. Aside from the dodgy CGI, it's pretty fucking great. I gave it a 9.
Yeah, it's my favorite H.P. Lovecraft story that is made off of The Shadow over Innsmouth. It's just got all his best stuff.
He's
in
an
it.
expert.
I'm not an expert.
He's an H.P. Lovecraft expert.
I'm not. I've talked to people who are. They know way more than me.
But it is my favorite story of his. Stuart Gordon and Brian Usna, just in general, you get them together, it's always good. They are also the only people that ever really seemed to be able to pull off. There are other people that pull off a Lovecraft feel really great. We talked about John Carpenter last episode. In the Mouth of Madness is a fantastic Lovecraft homage. but it's not one of his stories. I really hard to run into good H.P. Lovecraft stories turned into movies. Usually, if you do, it's Brian Usna and Stuart Gordon. Ezra, whatever, the main guy, I always laugh when I watch that one because he's in Stuart Gordon's Dreams of the Witch House, which is another H.P. Lovecraft story that Gordon made. I feel like he used him a few times after. I feel like Jeffrey Combs got too old, and he was like, find me the closest thing to Jeffrey Combs we can get.
Yeah.
And so
right.
that nothing against the guy. Jeffrey Combs is just better. So that's the only two things I ever have against this movie are
Think about how much funnier it would have been if it was Jeffrey Combs,
right,
a college kid.
The CG obviously did not hold up well at all. It probably didn't even hold up well in 2001.
No.
I would have never guessed 2001.
And as good as Ezra Miller does, and I think Miller, did we already go over that? Did I ask that? I think his last name's Miller. I can't remember. Ezra, whatever. As good as the job he does, he's a fine actor. He's getting cast in roles that Gordon always cast. Jeffrey Combs, you're always just going to have that kind of. But he's really good, so. But yeah, it's a great movie. I love the story. The fish people is great. The whole mythos behind it is fantastic. It's Lovecraft done really well, which you don't get very often. So I, as well, give it a 9.
Woo! Very strange story. Liked it. I like that. Just the sea people, whatever those sea creatures, wearing, taking the skin of the townspeople they're taking over. Frank, what did you think about the little sister sexy sea creature chick? Like, what do you?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to complain about that.
So put yourself in that situation.
You got to just let it happen, man.
Even though she's your sister?
I don't know, man. That's a real thing.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know, man.
The answer's no.
The answer's no.
Look at the situation. Look at the situation. The overall situation.
Oh, shit.
What do you have left?
Anyway. Lost it.
You're at the end of your rope, man.
A good atmosphere. I like the story. The characters, the monsters, like I like those. Even the last guy left, the old dude, couldn't understand what he was saying half the time, but I liked all the characters in this. The acting's solid throughout. I gave it a 7.
That's
Barely.
Enough.
That's
Oh, is
enough.
it? Oh, it is.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Ring a ding ding ding.
Boom. That's a good one.
Well,
Nice choice.
there we go. That's a good way to end an episode.
One little thing. I like that Jason was asking me if I'm sure it's pronounced Dagon. We have a song about this exact story
Okay.
He plays drums.
Where
He
I-
doesn't say the words.
where I sing the word.
But doesn't mean you're right.
I guess that's true.
You would just ask. I've heard people say Dagon.
I was getting ready to say you would think if I'm going to sing it, I would make sure I'm pronouncing it right.
I think it's Dagon.
But I guess I don't
It
pronounce.
just sounds better.
I don't pronounce anything right, so yeah, that's fair.
But do you guys have picks for next time?
I do.
Let them fly.
Nope.
I don't have both of them, but I found out Jason doesn't remember or has never watched In the Mouth of Madness. So we're watching In the Mouth of Madness.
And
I thought about Death Proof, but I don't want to break the new old rule again, like I did this last time.
if you want to watch it, let's watch it.
We'll watch In the Mouth of Madness. And I've never seen Death Proof. I'm a huge Kurt Russell fan. And when it came out, everybody told me it was horrible. And I didn't want to watch a Quentin Tarantino movie with Kurt Russell that wasn't good. So I said I won't watch it. And
I've
then
never seen it either.
last week someone told me, no, it's great. And I said one's enough for
Well,
Kurt
we'll
Russell.
fucking see, won't we?
You got something?
I guess I'm just going to go ahead and we'll finish up the basket case movies. 1 and 3. Is there only 3 of them? There's only 3 basket case movies.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's 3.
There might be a 4.
Uh-oh.
I think there's only 3.
Well, I'm picking 1 and 3. We've already done 2. You can check it out on all our shit. You got anything?
Well, I just got one in the mail today. I want to watch Abominable.
Hey-o.
That's your kind of game right there, Abominable.
Yeah, watch out.
What's something else I've gotten?
You always surprise him.
Could be a surprise.
You know what? Let's do Mother of Tears.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Mother of
Sounds
Tears.
like a tearjerker.
Oh, no. I thought you'd seen it. You don't like it.
Watch. Hey, watch this. But fucking Basket Case 3 will be a real fucking sad. You'll be crying.
If Basket Case 3 is gut-wrenching drama, Frank's going to be pissed.
It's just about a wife who's been beaten and her trials and tribulations. And the whole Basket Case thing's just in the background.
Stay tuned. That Mother of Tears may change.
Stay tuned. You haven't made it this far anyways.
That's a wild card.
What? One more thing? So we're going to start doing a new thing, guys. We're going to put up a poll, and it's going to be about 10 films. We're going to let you pick our 4th selection for our next episode. This is going to be a regular thing we do, hopefully, and you'll have some input. We're not going to let you just add shit, though, because that's way out of
Make
line.
sure you fix the poll. Make sure you put...
I'm going to do it right this time.
Do it right.
But that'll be up. Get involved in the group. Post things up there more often. When things get going, they get going real nice. Really good. Keep it up, and thanks for watching, listening. Subscribe, rate, review, like, smash it, all that stuff. We'll see you next time.
What do you think it is, Jerry?
Well, I am a law student. What do I know about cars?
Hey, you guys! Come take a look at this!
I thought I'd better come down and warn you. You all best leave before it gets dark.
What happens at dark?
Well, this here hole fills up with water moccasins.